So tonight we have with us our recording secretary, Shannon Winters, our town manager, Tom Wooden, and selectmen Trish Warren, Wendy Wolf, myself, Denise Griffin, and Bill Hamblin. So we'll move right into town manager announcements. Tom?
Thank you. Just a reminder that when we do the warrants tonight, I have the revised Giving Tuesday proclamation for the board to sign.
Okay, fantastic.
Dan Welch at the school asked if I would just touch base and advertise again what I think Katrina did very nicely in the paper the other day, and that's the Summit project that the school is doing this Wednesday. The Summit project is a tribute to recognize and honor Maine veterans who passed away since September 11th. And the event starts at 8 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock they march from the high school down to the Fisherman's Memorial, and they're going to have a little ceremony there, and then they'll march back into town, and weather permitting, there'll be a parade from there back to the school. So I just told them I would touch base with that, remind people again. And the only other thing I can think of is during our economic development meeting last week, it was brought up that the representatives that were chosen by Boothbay were appointed by the Boothbay Selectmen, and I don't think ours were formally appointed. I think ours were just selected back on May 6th. So it might not be a bad idea just to appoint Frank Fassett, Mike Tomko, Jamie Logan, and Kenneth Rail to our Economic Development Committee so that at least everyone's all appointed.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, I'll just say that we don't have to by our bylaws do that.
No.
And I think that the bylaws, as I recall from Boothbay, their structure is a little different. Because I remember having that conversation in our preliminary early meeting, so that might be why they were appointed, but it's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it does any harm.
No, absolutely not. I'd just like to point out that there are differences between the towns. So, all in favor?
Thank you.
Great.
That's all I have for announcements for the moment.
Okay, great. That just brought a question to my mind. I was thinking, Tom, if you could, because we've had some interest from residents and citizens for to ask us to consider different capital improvement kind of projects. Could you send out your standing list of capital projects so that we can begin to consider those maybe and take a look at those even before budget season? Because some of these proposals
Is it different than the capital projects in the audit?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
It's that 11 by 18 sheet with all the different colors. Yeah, it's different.
I think
than a lot of other things.
I think it would just be helpful for us to review that again.
Get that all ready to go. I'll send it tomorrow. Okay.
That's great. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, financials. Julia.
You have before you revenue and expense sheets. Total revenue year to date, $4,175,192.38. Total expenses year to date, $3,166,692.57. Does anyone have any questions on the revenue or expense sheets?
Oh, we're tracking pretty well, correct?
We are. We're down about 2%, a little over 2% in, we're over in collected revenue compared to this time last year, 2%, and we're down about 4% in expenses compared to this time last year.
Julie, would you explain so I understand on the revenue, the general government, it says percent collected 745.87%.
We have to, when the taxes are committed, we put the entire anticipated tax revenue number in there. So it kind of throws off the percentages collected.
Right there?
Yes.
Okay.
It's booked through a journal entry from the assessor's office, so obviously it becomes a tax receivable
Right.
at that point.
Okay.
Any other questions? And the total accounts payable is $360,106.74. The bank balance is $2,750,000.
Okay. I guess the only other question I have is, I don't think I've seen any either year-end information or quarter-end information coming in the ambulance.
I keep reminding him of it.
Yeah, I asked Tom that a couple of weeks ago. I said, are the ambulance?
They haven't presented us, they haven't.
We don't have a
brought back
bill
any
either.
bill. They haven't asked to come talk to us. And when I remind them, they say, oh yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
So.
All right, any other questions?
Gee, are the couple of percent that were above in revenue and below in expenses just timing variations? There are no outstanding big hitters or anything like that?
No, after tonight, after the school bill, I mean, the warrant's $360,000, I think it'll close in a little bit closer. It is timing at this point.
Thanks.
And we are ahead in our tax collection as well on the revenue side compared to this time last year.
Thanks.
Okay, great, good. All right, we're all set then, right, Trish, no questions? Okay, great. So let's move on to the consent agenda, item number A, approve minutes of our last meeting.
The copies that you had at your station you sat down were including Wendy's suggestions from roughly noon time today. Shannon got them this afternoon and I printed them off when we got here tonight, so.
Okay, yeah, I see some, I definitely see that some of the changes were made.
Yes. So Bill, are we giving you appreciation for the grant, or are you giving appreciation for the grant?
I don't remember, it could go either way.
I was just curious.
It was given to them.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thanks for making those changes, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Well, I'll move to approve the corrected minutes.
Okay,
Second.
all right, all in favor? Okay, that's approved. So now we'll move on to some license requests from the Campbells for the new owners for Red Cup Coffee House. Let's see, we'll just take the first one that's in my hand, which is the license request for special amusement, which is Class C amplified or instrumental music and dancing Friday nights from 6 until 9 p.m. Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
Sure, I will so move.
And
Second.
Any questions?
I'm just curious, I've been in the Red Cup quite a bit. It's going to be close quarter dancing, so it will be quite exciting actually to be dancing there in the Red Cup. So anyway, yeah.
Well, the Red Cups they've had music
Yes.
before, so that's really not much of a change, correct? Okay. Any other comments, questions? No? All in favor? Great. So then we'll move on for the request for the victualer's license for the Red Cup. Which again, I don't think really is a change. So,
Move we approve?
And I'll second.
great. Any questions? Any concerns from the audience? Okay, all in favor? Your licenses are all approved,
There you go, congratulations.
and we wish you good luck.
Yeah.
All right, Under old business, we don't have anything listed, but has anybody thought of anything? No.
Just, I'm gonna assume at the next meeting, we'll talk about another chapter of the long-range plan.
I think we can do that.
Do you have a particular chapter in mind that I can put on there, or discuss another chapter?
Unless there's a particular one, we can just go back to the,
Well, it might tie in with the economic development to talk about the chapter. I'd have to look that talks about our walkability and some of the other things. I can't remember which chapter that is.
Well, you can let me know before we do the next agenda,
Yeah.
that's all.
Okay, because
That
there are
would
some
work.
discussions about that going on at the Economic Development Committee.
okay, that's great. Why don't we do that then? Okay, new business. Fred Brewer is our CPA auditor, and you did our annual report,
Yes,
and I assume you have a little presentation for
I
us.
think you have a little summary page too, I'll kind of go through that.
We do?
Tom has some
I
extras.
mean, the one that Tom did? Yep.
Yeah, I think he sent you ahead of time, so.
I sent it last week.
Darko.
I'll kind of look at both of them at the same time. I'm not gonna go through the whole audit report tonight, because most people don't want to spend hours going through it. But looking at the prior year's summary, you're trending pretty much the same as last year, which is good. You'll get a little bit less cash. The commitment was pretty much the same. And your current year outstanding taxes are about the same, so you're still collecting about 98% of what you commit in taxes in the first year that you assess them, which is pretty good. Most people would love to have a 98% collection rate, so it's good and it's been pretty consistent. The thing to look at is the undesignated fund balance. So if you go into page 32 of the financial statements, which is the one before the two big filled out pages. Schedule A3. So this talk kind of gives the numbers on how the surplus is calculated. So you started out with a beginning balance of about 1.7 million. There were $280,000 in account balances that went into surplus. If the fire department didn't spend all of the appropriation, a little bit of it went into surplus that was left. They hadn't spent. The decrease in the deferred tax revenue, the accounting standards say anything over 60 days you have to defer as revenue. So this is picking up the adjustment between last year's outstanding taxes and this year's outstanding taxes. So the nature of it being pretty much the same didn't change very much at all. So there's $280,000 that was going into surplus. So when you committed the taxes a year ago, you took $250,000 out. So in the end, you put in $30,000 to surplus. Even though when you committed the taxes, you only had an overlay of $17,000, $16,000. So good budgeting. Additional revenues that came in above what you budgeted all contributed to keeping surplus pretty much about the same. So that's good. It changes. I mean, if you look back over the years, you look at where surplus has been, and it's kind of been all over the place. So you were really low, built it up really high, and then brought it back down. You were trying to address some needs. You brought it up at the meeting tonight. Capital improvements, the projects that need to be done.
Yeah, there was some long-term deferred maintenance that needed to happen in those years.
Yep. And you got the fish pier. That was a big one that was kind of out there. Since resolved the majority of that. So it's just time to kind of pick away at stuff and start planning and say, okay, the fire trucks that are out there, we're gonna have to replace one of them in 7 years. Okay, we should make sure we put enough money away to do that, so that when we need to, it's just a case of you put it out to bid, you can purchase the fire truck, and you're not trying to borrow the money if you don't need to. It's just planning. And the whole idea behind that is you want to keep the tax rate stable, which is from what the numbers that I've seen is what you're trying to do. So you can keep it somewhat flat. Going back to the prior year summary, code says you're supposed to have 8% of the current year's budget in surplus, so there's some excess there. So you're in compliance with that aspect of your governing document. Look at excise taxes. Look at the budget, $367,000 last year, you took in $405,000. So that was a majority of why surplus was up. So some towns decide they want to budget aggressively for it, and they'll take last year's collections, and that's the number that they'll use. That's okay if people are always buying new vehicles. It's when people stop buying new vehicles that really tends to bite you. Investment income is, word today was interest rates are going to go up. That helps you because you've got cash. So I would expect to see that go up if interest rates do in fact go up. Do I think the bank's going to pay more? Probably not for a little while. Revenue sharing, as with a lot of the coastal communities, that has been decreasing pretty steadily. So next time you're doing your budget, you want to probably budget significantly less than what you've been budgeting for previously. Homestead reimbursement, another function of the tax rate, so that stayed relatively the same, so that's pretty much uniform, at around $19,000. And then parking income, I was surprised to see it tick up a little bit, which is good.
It was a very busy summer. I'm not surprised to see that.
Well,
It
and
was
keep in
crazy
mind,
here.
this is only the first part of
Yeah, this is only through
Yeah,
June 30th.
that's true.
the summer.
That's true.
So you have last year's,
It's even gonna be,
so this year, if what you're saying is true, it should be up more.
right.
So Tom keeps track of that. I don't know how it's trending this year, but
It's up a little bit, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's been a strong summer.
yeah, and that's good. That's why you've got it. It provides additional income. Going back to the financial statements, they're a little bit thicker than they were last year. You can thank the Governmental Accounting Standards Board for passing the GASB 67 and 68 with regards to pensions. So now there's, for you guys, I think there's about 7 additional pages of information relative to the pensions with main perks. So what they wanted you to do was they wanted you to show on the first 4 exhibits, so that's starting on page 9. So on the statements of net position, you have a few things that are new. Deferred outflows of resources is one of the ones about a third of the way down, $54,000. What the standard said was any of the contributions for the current year you pick up as an asset. And then you use that to offset the pension liabilities, which is down about 2/3 of the way, the deferred inflows of resources. So it's about $224,000 in liability for the town personnel that are part of the main PERS system. So this is what the big change was for this year. Those 2 little pieces of information generated 5 pages of no disclosures.
Thank you, Patsy.
Yeah, it's just more stuff that's out there. And there's more changes coming down the pipe. Probably in the next 3 years, the financial statements as you see them here will be totally changed. So it's not going to be consistent. But the thing is, the underlying information that you use to prepare these doesn't change. It's still the financial reports that you look at. It's the warrants, all of that stuff. It's still the same information. It's just adding more things to it. So overall, you're in pretty good shape, and you're pretty consistent, which is, as an accountant, what I like to see.
So do I.
So,
Great.
I don't feel like
Good news.
Yes.
So. Do people have questions?
I assume we're gonna have an executive session to talk to the auditor, is that correct?
We don't normally, but we certainly can.
Okay, I mean, in business, that's standard practice, just to make sure there are no issues at all that have surfaced that might be of concern, so that they're discussed in a confidential manner, but,
I would ask him right now.
yeah, I mean, that's fine, but,
Typically, most towns, it's not really an issue. I think I've been in one executive session, and it was because of a personnel type issue. I mean, for the most part, the accounting software that you use is geared specifically towards towns. So a lot of the cash receiving, there's plenty of documentation on who received it, what it was for, and there's a lot of good controls there. You have a great control, approving warrants, looking at warrants, and I usually tell boards, ask questions if you don't understand something. Because ultimately, you're the ones that report to the public. I mean, you delegate some to Tom, and you delegate some to Julia, but ultimately, it's up to you to ask the questions and make sure that you understand everything. Because by asking questions and wanting to learn everything that's there, you're protecting everybody else who's in the town office. Because if someone asks a question to you, you can answer the question. If someone asks Tom, and there's no questions. There's always answers, and when there are answers, what do you have to hide? Nothing. And you're a town, so you've got to be open to the public anyways. They have different avenues to ask questions.
So Fred, my takeaway is that from an accounting standpoint, you are happy with the processes that we have in place in terms of control and tracking of the public's money.
I mean, I've been at meetings where I've watched board members just kind of gloss over the expense warrants, and I've been at them where one of the board of selectmen sitting there during the meeting, looking at each individual invoice and going, well, what's this for? Why are we spending this much money here? There was an explanation for it, but it was just being able to answer the question.
Hey, since you brought up control, I believe I asked this last year also, would you just remind me of the internal control that happens between who handles receipts and writes checks, and who can sign checks, how we have our internal control?
Well, and a lot of it is done by the approval process that you go through all the time.
Do you want me to
Yes, I'm
answer the
asking
question?
for specific.
Okay, no, are you talking accounts payable or payroll? They're, we process two different.
Yeah, you can tell us both.
Okay.
That way the townspeople
For
know
payroll,
how we do it.
I input payroll from the department heads that give me their payroll sheets. I run the whole payroll warrant, and then I give the checks to Michelle, who takes them, stamps them, and puts them in an envelope, sealed envelope, and then they get dispersed a day later on Thursday. Most everyone has direct deposit anyhow, but it's just to make sure that I'm not mailing 5 checks home to myself or something. But so we have that in play there as far as the paychecks, and then the accounts payable process. I put together the entire warrant, and then the next day, like after you guys approve the warrant, the checks are run already tonight. I will give the checks and all of the bills, the invoices, to Trish, and she matches them up according to the invoices, and she mails them out the door.
And
So I
part of
never-
our audit process is we check to make sure that that's done.
Right. I never see the checks again.
We do a random selection where we put it in the computer and it spits out the numbers of the checks. We start with the checks and then we kind of work backwards. So we look to make sure that there's an invoice that goes along with it, that the invoice matches the check amount, and we also check to make sure that the check clears the bank at the right amount.
They actually, you guys do a lot of invoice testing. They actually, during their audit process, like, I can't receipt for I actually have no cash receipting on my own computer. I made that possible when we set up the system that I can't log in and cash receipt, just because, for segregation of duties. But like if one of her relatives came in, we don't wait on our own relatives and all of that. I mean, there's quite a lot of, when I first got here years ago, we had one cash drawer, no, numbered receipts, and all of that is in play pretty well.
Trio lets you set it up so it can be authorized just at the user level.
Right.
So not everyone has access to everything. Only those that are
Right.
required to use those functions have it. So
And each person cashing up, like, say, our two main cash receipt people, obviously, are Michelle and Trish. They each get a daily audit receipt report, and then that becomes part of a journal that actually automatically comes into the budgetary side that I have to approve when I see the deposit. So there's no, like, configuring it in any way. It has to actually be part of that.
And Trio keeps track of who
Yes.
receipts what, because
Yeah.
every time you go to take someone's money, you have to put in your initials. So there are some controls in place that are, you can look and make sure that the person who receipted everything is authorized to do it. But for the most part, there's only 2 people that receive money.
And actually, we go a step further. The last few years, like Tom, the next morning, I don't take the checks from payroll or the accounts payable checks again after I've done them tonight. Tom, like, will get the payroll warrant. He'll go through the payroll warrant. He actually inputs, like, the taxes into, the federal and state taxes into an Excel worksheet so that I can prove it when it's time for the 941 and 900s to be done at each annually. We kind of have a segregation of duties so that one person isn't doing everything, because that's how it used to be. Although we're a small office, we kind of had to,
It's very compartmentalized.
yeah, we had to make sure. It's not typical that the town clerk is the one matching up things for me, but, just to protect us all, that we kind of segregated everything out.
More eyes that look at everything, the better off we are.
Yeah, I'm just curious, do you guys have a sort of written description of the control policy?
We do. We have a policy and procedures manual for cash receipting, and each one of us obviously has our own duties that we have to be responsible for, and that's all written down on cashing up and doing everything. And I'll go and spot check the drawer to make sure our drawer has to have a couple of, has to be accurate, so we check that. It's done.
works well.
Great, thank you. I'm sure everyone appreciates the description to know all the steps you put in place to double check on this, so it's very helpful to know.
Any other questions?
No, I guess not. Thank you
Yeah,
for your
thank you.
report, all your time.
So,
It's
do we
good
need
to know
a-
we're in good shape.
do we need to have a motion to accept the audit? I would.
I wouldn't reject it.
Well, that is, I'm speaking in my business, that's what our committee would do, is move to accept the audit, so.
Go ahead.
Which I so move.
Okay,
Second.
okay, all in favor? Great,
Thank you very much.
thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
Fred.
Yes, thanks, Fred, very much.
A lot of work.
Yes, it really
It's a lot of
is.
fun.
Only an accountant.
Oh dear. Okay, public forum time. Does anybody from the public have any questions, comments, concerns tonight? No? Great. Seeing none, I think we're gonna have a short meeting. Oh, you have,
Well, I was just
An
gonna, as a new business item, this is really for the folks watching on the cable. It is open enrollment time for the health insurance marketplace, which if you don't know, everyone is, most people are required to have health insurance. And there's a brochure here in the town office if you're unsure about how to get health insurance on the health insurance marketplace. You can go to enroll207.com and find people locally who will help walk you through the process for free, confidentially. And interestingly, for the health insurance marketplace, health insurance is more affordable for most people in Maine. In fact, 90% of people in Maine receive some sort of financial assistance that can lower the cost of their monthly premiums and their health insurance costs. So it's worthwhile checking out. You can have plans for as low as $10 a month if you qualify for financial assistance, and a family of 4 can earn approximately $95,000 and still qualify for a subsidy. So it's worth checking out to get a health insurance plan for you and your family, and you need to sign up by the end of January so that you're not subject to the tax penalty for not having health insurance. So brochure's out there. If you need any help, just look through it, and you can either go to enroll207.com or call the Consumers for Affordable Healthcare helpline, and they can give you information and walk you through. So,
Or their website.
yeah, or their website. So just a little PSA type thing.
Okay, warrants. I'll look for a motion for the warrants.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of the warrants? Approving them, signing
Carefully.
on review.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that motion carries. Okay. Do we want to have an executive session tonight or postpone that to next time when Russ will be here?
I don't have a need for one. We can wait for Russ to be here.
Okay, great. Let's postpone that then. So I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I will so move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Right.